Hey guys, let's talk General Hospital for today, August 3rd, 2026. So, we start this episode at the park, and y'all, Rick is a bit jelly. So, as we saw on Friday, you know, Dante and Liz, they're chatting it up or whatever. And we saw on Friday Britt came and, interrupted, but, she took the equipment and walked away. And they stayed over there and they just still chatting it up. Like they just keep talking like they old pals, which I mean, I guess. And it's nothing forward going on. It's just two people having conversation. But I guess with the chemistry or whatever they may have from the outside looking in, it can be like, what the heck is going on? Why is Rick so possessive? Because she can't have a conversation with your nephew? Like, Dante ain't Drew, so it's not like he would be preying on your girlfriend. That's just not how operates. So why are you, Rick, so testy? Like, bring it down a whole lot. And they're not doing anything, but just talking about baseball, life, you know. She told him that if she ever need a coach again, that she gonna come looking for him. It's very innocent. I like I said on Friday, I don't think Liz thinks anything is going on. And I don't even think Dante thinks anything is going on. They are just chatting and they like talking to each other. And Rick don't like what he sees. Cause he even comes over and he like is like kind of giving like smug, jealous comments, but Liz kind of like let them fly, and it's. Meanwhile, BLQ is at the Surf Lounge, and she's meeting with Simon, the record producer, and she's supposed to be meeting with Geo and Trina, but they're not there. And it turns out that Gio and Trina forgot. They both forgot that they had a meeting, which is crazy to me that they forgot because earlier that day we see Trina is at her mom's house talking to her dad and granddad, and they're talking about her record deal or whatever the case may be. And that didn't jog your memory that you had a meeting. I don't know, but that was very irresponsible of them, which is crazy. But um they're chatting or whatever, and you know Brooklyn is chatting with Simon, and he was like, they're on their way, right? And so she goes and she calls Geo, and Geo answers the phone, and he's like, hey mom. Since when has he actually been calling Brooklyn mom? I know that he was acknowledging moving into acknowledging her as his mother, but for him to answer the phone and be like, hey mom, I was like, since when he been calling her that? But she calls him and she was like, you and Trina are on your way. So then they decide that they're gonna go, rush over to the meeting. And so they're like, Emma, you wanna come? Because Kai said he wants to come, he wants to meet Simon as well. She was like, no, I'm gonna stay behind. Y'all go ahead. So they leave, and before they leave and before they get the call from Brooklyn, they're playing games, and Trina was like, I know y'all trying to take my mind off of the fact that my dad's trial is about to happen, and we can talk about it. And she's like, yeah. They start talking about Portia probably being raked over the coals again. I don't see how Portia would be raked over the coals. Like, I don't, not in this situation, but whatever. So, she's like, look. thank y'all for, they're being good friends. And they were also trying to call Joss to see if she was coming over, but Joss can't be bothered with them and what they got going on because she's a big bad WSB agent now, I guess. So, they leave and they go to the surf lounge and they go and they meet with Simon, and they're shaking hands and greeting one another, and then she introduces Simon to Kai as her boyfriend, and he was like, wait, this is going to be a problem. So he tells Brooklyn that he thought that Kai and Trina were a couple, and that they had made a whole marketing campaign around selling them as a couple, not for them to have other significant others, because he has a girlfriend and she has a boyfriend that's outside of one another, so it's not going to work. So yeah, this is going to be interesting to see how this plays out, because Gio was like, good thing we got that 90-day out in the contract, because yeah, the whole relationship angle is not going to be something that they're trying to play into. And Brooklyn is like, well, I'll work something out. Simon just needs a little bit of time to, recalibrate and rework whatever rollout they were going to have for them. But this is going to be interesting. And we also get a glimpse of whoever Trina's stalker is sitting around stalking her, and they had a picture of her and Kai, and they deleted Kai from the photo. They have all these pictures, like, it's crazy. Like, whoever the stalker is psychotic. But anyway, so then we have um Joss. She is running, but then she goes back to the WSB. And when she goes to the WSB, she interrupts Nina and Jack. So Nina and Jack were in his office because Nina was coming to ask him out. Excuse me. She was coming to ask him out to dinner. And so he was like, yeah, no, I can't go. And they're talking about their relationship and what they're going to do or whatever. And Josh comes in and Nina leaves. And so when she leaves, she was like, hey, yo, you need to know about Nina. You need to stay away from her. And Jack's like, stay out my personal business. And they have a bit of a scuffle between them two, and it's crazy. So meanwhile, at the Metro Court Gardens, Anna is getting, like I said on Friday, um Peter's gonna be in her ear about Valentine and Carly, and so she runs into a waiter and draws their attention. So then they invite her to sit down with them, and they start talking about Josh being in the WSB and Valentine getting his money back, and how Anna knew, for a year that that Josh was in the WSB, but she couldn't really say anything. And Carly was like, "Well, I feel like Joss is gonna wake up one day and she's gonna want out of the WSB." Wishful thinking. So they're talking about all of that, and Valentine kind of like signals to Anna, just let Carly believe that. And so then Anna leaves, and then when Anna leaves, Nina comes in, and he's like basically inquiring about her relationship with Jack and telling her that she might regret a relationship with Jack. And then Nina was like, you're reminding me of why we aren't together anymore. And I'm like, okay, girl, bye. So anyway, then we have this very emotional scene between Sonny and Jason, because Jason has to leave the mob because he has to be a parent. He's the only parent that Danny has left, and he can't continue to take the risk that he takes when Danny is depending on him. And he's asking for Sonny's blessing, and of course Sonny gives it, and they, you're always gonna be my brother, and it was very emotional because Jason was crying, Sonny was crying, but it's the end of an era, y'all. But that was General Hospital for today. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye. Hey guys, let's talk General Hospital for today, August 4th, 2026. So, this episode, we start at Caroline's house, and Carly is there hugging Michael, who is coming to have breakfast with his mom. And so is Jocelyn. So, she's having um, breakfast with her two oldest children. And Carly immediately starts, after Michael and Jocelyn exchange pleasantries. Oh, excuse me, I can't speak. After Michael and Jocelyn trade pleasantries, Carly immediately starts and she's like, Joss, don't you got something you need to tell your brother? And she's like, I'm in a WSB. And when she says that she's in the WSB, Michael is like, "Oh, that's cool. Way to go!" Not at all how Caroline expected it to go. So she was like, "What do you mean? She's not taking a. She didn't take a desk job." He was like, "Oh, you a field agent?" It's so funny. So, they start talking about the WSB, and he was like, well, I understand that mom thinks it's dangerous, and I could see why she would have a problem with it, but blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Joss, you guys to make the best decision for herself, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, but she's fine. She's not in any danger, blah, blah, blah. And then we find out that, oh, Josh was shot. And he was like, whoa. And he was like, well, I let you both down because I've been so wrapped up in my life. And then it turns to a conversation about, he had to focus on his kids. And, Josh and Carly are not his responsibility, and that it's okay to focus on your kids because when you're dealing with somebody like Willow, you have to. And then he is thinking about the fact that he might have to acquiesce to Willow's request for 50-50 custody, because if he doesn't, they might have to go to court. And if they go to court, because she is a political figure now, it can kind of work against him and he could lose his children altogether, which is not an option for Michael. So, with that being the case, he's considering the fact that he may actually have to acquiesce and do the 50-50 split. Then we have Curtis and Martin says he has a break in his case because Curtis is going to court this morning for his trial. And so Martin is like, I got to break in your case. We have a witness that's willing to testify for you, and the witness is Drew. Immediately, Baldy is like, absolutely not. Why are you here? Because we unbenefit. We don't jive. And Drew was like, look, I'm just going to get on the stand and be like, Detective Fitzpatrick misunderstood what I was saying. Willow was at home. She wasn't driving that night. And, basically going to recant what he said, which is actually the truth because Willow wasn't at home that night. I mean, she was at home that night and she didn't have anything to do with the car accident, nor did Isaiah, but I digress. So we can see what's going to happen, right? We're following the story because we knew that Baldy wasn't going to jail, right? We can all agree that unless Donnell was leaving the show, Baldy was not going to prison. So Drew was like, so Curtis is still skeptical of Drew, rightfully so, because after all they've been through and he ran it back down. You was blackmailing Portia, you did XYZ, you did all of this, and now I'm supposed to believe that you want to help me. He says he wants to do it out of the kindness of his own heart because he had to watch Willow sends Scout away to live with Alexis, and even though he knows that Alexis loves Scout, is no telling, all the things that Alexis filled Scout's head with about him, which Alexis didn't do and Portia wouldn't do. But again, I don't necessarily trust Isaiah, so there's that, because he could possibly do so. And so he was like, I don't want that to happen with you and your son. And Curtis was like, okay, so where's the quid pro quo in this? Like, what do you get out of it? And he swears that he's not trying to get nothing out of it, but we will see. Then we have Trina and Ava, and they had a really good conversation about Ava wanting to one day move towards Trina being her partner at the gallery. But then Trina tells her that she got a record deal, which was crazy to me because Trina didn't tell her before now about her record deal. Girl, why you ain't tell Ava? You tell Ava everything. The fact that her parents know before Ava is shocking to me because Trina is supposedly no contact with her parents, but she works for Ava, but Ava is the last to know in this particular scenario, which is shocking to me, but I can do it. And she tells Trina that she's more than a mentee to her. She's a friend, and I'm glad that the I like that. So then Trina starts asking her about Ethan, and then she tells her that Ethan up and left. But then Trina gets a call from Simon, and when she gets a call from Simon, she walks off to answer the call. And when she does so, she overhears a phone call between Nina and Brennan about Willow trying to open up the investigation into Drew's shooting again. And we all know that Trina is eyewitness, so to speak. So yeah, this is some good TV, good soaps today. So then we have Willow, Liesel, and Nina. They're there, and they're having lunch together at the Metro Court, and they're talking about Willow trying to get full custody of her kids. And Liesel is like, "You're doing too much." And when Nina, who also doesn't agree, steps away from the table, that's when she goes to make the call to Jack. Liesel tells her, I don't know what you got going on. Because Liesel is the only one that seems to see Willow and to kind of hold her feet to the fire. So she's like, I don't know what you got going on, but leave Nina out of it. Because Nina will sacrifice herself for Willow. And normally that's not a bad thing for a mother to do. But then for Nina and Willow, it enables Willow's bad behavior. Then we have the cues is Ned, Olivia, Chase, Brooklyn, Phoebe, and Geo, because today they're going to be officially signing the adoption papers um for the baby, and Alexis comes over and they sign the papers. Brooklyn speaks with her and is like, well, is it possible that we can get the dad to change his mind? And she was like, no, he's adamant about this. And then she was like, then they told her, if he comes back asking for money, just let us know and we'll do whatever to keep Phoebe. And then they just have a nice moment with the family, excited that they have a new member. They have named her Phoebe Jacqueline Chase. I really wish that she had adopted the baby without Chase, but what's another broken family in Port Charles? Anyway, so then we have Ethan, who is in Oslo, and the guy Hudson, he followed him there, and then they get in a fight, and he puts a bug in his room. So he now knows that the baby is alive, but he doesn't know where the baby is because he puts a bug in the room, and Ethan calls Ava to ensure that Ava is going to keep the secret. And she said that she will, but she disconnected the line. But yeah, that was General Hospital for today. It was pretty good. This week should be good. I'll see y'all on tomorrow. Bye. Hey guys, let's talk General Hospital for today, August 5th, 2026. So with today's episode was quite hilarious to me. I was sitting here laughing, screaming, hollering the whole entire episode because why is it so funny? Are you sure this is a drama? Because it was very much giving comedy today. But anyway, we started this episode with Ava coming to Sunny's house. I guess he summoned her. And so she comes into the house and she's like, "What do you want? It better be worth something for more than just you. It better be worth my time too." And so he's basically calling her over there, asking her what she did to make Ethan run away. And she's like, "I didn't make Ethan run away." And he's asking her, has she heard from him? And she said, yeah. Ethan called her, but of course she can't tell him the full content of their conversation because she is supposed to be keeping a secret for Ethan, so she can't tell him the full contents of their conversation. But she says he called her, told her he not coming back, and he hung up before she could give him a piece of her mind. And so he was like, and you shouldn't have gotten involved with him, or something he was saying along those lines. And she was like, well, it's your fault because you're the one that put him on me to like guard me. So, it's basically your fault that he fell for my charm. Ava and charm. Okay. So, then she was like, and how do I know you didn't do something to run him off? And then she starts talking about Drew is up and walking. How do I know that you didn't ask him to do something to Drew on behalf of Michael? Which he did not. But she was like, why, how come, something like that didn't happen? And Sonny told her, he was like, look, Ava, don't play with me. When he told her, don't play with me, I was howling because Sonny doesn't mince words when it comes to Ava, and it's so hilarious to me. But then we had BLQ and Tracy. So Tracy wanted to go on a trip to New York City with Brooklyn. Basically, she's trying to get Brooklyn out of town because she knows that Curtis's trial is beginning today, and she doesn't want Brooklyn to get tempted to confess that she was the one on the road that night. And so Brooklyn is like, I'm not gonna tell. And plus, I she realizes that even though the adoption is finalized with Phoebe, she can't really let Chase know what she did and all of that because he'll never trust her and her marriage would be over. So that's gonna happen. Chase is probably gonna sleep with Willow. One, two. Not only is Chase going to sleep with Willow, but he is also going to find out that Brooklyn was on the road that night. But it won't be until after Curtis is acquitted because I'm pretty sure Curtis is getting acquitted. I'm thinking that Isaiah is going to lose his cool and it's going to be detrimental because we saw part of the trial today and it's already getting hot in that courtroom. Anyway, so then we have Lucy and Serena, and basically Lucy is setting Serena up to go and seduce Michael so that she can get the shares from him that Maxie sold to her, which is crazy because I can't for the life of me understand a mother pimping out her daughter. That because essentially that's what it is, y'all. Let's call a spade and admit what it is. So I I can't fathom that. It is so diabolical to me that a mother, a parent would do something like that. I'm like, so you that's what you think of your daughter. And then she calls Felicia over and she's like, oh, I didn't want to make her do it. And then Felicia's talking her into it. Basically, did you ask her? Did you tell her? I asked her and she said that she wanted to do whatever to help her mom. And I'm like, and Felicia's like, oh, you're giving yourself too much credit. Okay, so Lucy is all right for pimping out her daughter, but Liz doing too much when she is questioning how and why the things are happening with Drew and Willow. Okay, girl, go ahead. I guess GH is the land of the contradiction and the what do you call it? My mind's going blank. The hypocrite. Like I just can't. I guess. So then we got Michael and Jacinda. They're at the pool, and then Willow shows up with Wiley, and so Wiley was like, "Dad, can you come swim with me?" And then Willow and Jacinda has words because she goes to tell Jacinda, "Yeah, no, my situation has changed," and she's like, "Yeah, Michael told me you and Drew are getting a divorce," and she's all like, "Yeah," and so you might want to tell Michael that he better basically about the 50-50 custody, and they have words, and Jacinda is taking jabs, and then Wiley comes and asks Jacinda to get in the pool, but she says she has to get dressed for work soon, so she's going to stay dry, but next time. And so Willow goes and she ends up talking to Jack, and Jack was like, okay, we don't have to be adversaries. Our relationship doesn't have to be adversarial. Your mom told me. And she was like, well, then my mom talked too much. I'm like, oh my God, girl, you don't even really like Nina. Like, let's be honest. Can we all be honest here? Willow doesn't even really like Nina. She don't. She don't like Nina. I just realized I'm just looking at this background while I'm recording this, and this is so off topic, but I'm looking at the background and I see Sam back there, and I'm like, Sam is gone. But anyway, like that really threw me off. But anyway, and so Jack can't get her to drop the situation with Michael and the case of who shot Drew because she said she don't care. She don't care if the evidence might come back up, that Nina had Jack erased. She don't care if that come out is worth it to her. Willow is crazy and unhinged, y'all. Meanwhile, Martin and Molly are at the courthouse because Martin, of course, is representing Curtis, and Molly is stepping in for Turner to prosecute Curtis. Molly, Curtis's nephew's ex domestic partner. Lord, there's too much going on. So yeah, she's prosecuting Curtis, and then we have this very awkward meeting between Isaiah and Portia, Curtis and Jordan, that Isaiah basically was like, yeah, you should just go ahead and take the deal to spare your family, which I get what Isaiah is saying, but at the same time, I'm going to risk 8 months, almost the first year of my child's life. Yeah, I don't know if I'm taking that either. So, like, I get it, but I just feel like Isaiah shouldn't have said anything or addressed Curtis because that's just making a heated situation worse. And Isaiah has been showing lately signs of getting testy. That's why I said that I'm not sure if he is able to, withstand exploding. But anyway, they go into court, and Portia is calling Stella to check on Desmond. And when she does that, Jordan's like, "Oh, being Jordan, trying to play nice, but when she's not." So she's like, "Oh, how's Desmond? Oh, it would be best if Desmond's father didn't go to prison. You should watch what you say on the stand. Witness tampering, girl, go sit down." But then they start doing the trial, and then the last thing we see is Martin asked Portia when she started having an affair with Isaiah, but she should answer the question because she told Jordan the day she gave birth. Hey guys, let's talk General Hospital for today, August 6th, 2026. So we started this episode back in the courtroom, and as we know, yesterday Portia was on the stand giving her testimony, and Martin was doing his cross examination, and his question for Portia yesterday, where we left off, was how long into her marriage was she seeing Isaiah? And first, Molly objected, but then the judge instructed um, Martin to make his point clear and instructed Portia to answer the question. But then Portia objected. Pop off Portia. One thing about Portia, when she get ready, she will pop off like nobody's business. She will pop off, she will pop up. My baby is a bit of a firecracker. But she she objected, and she said that they were here about Curtis's assault, not about her personal life. And the judge was like, "Hey, yo, you gotta answer, or you're gonna be held in contempt." And I don't think it's for a mother, good for a mother, a few days postpartum, to get held in contempt. And I wanted her to answer the question because I needed the truth to be out there. And she, in fact, did answer with the truth, which was like, ah, thank you. So we can end this debate once and for all. This Portia cheated on Curtis. Forget all of that because that didn't happen. That was not the case. She stated on the stand that he asked her, you were married for almost 3 years when you started having an affair with Isaiah. And she said no. And he said no. Yeah, no. And she said, me and Curtis were married for 3 years. And um we were estranged at the time that me and Isaiah started kicking it, which is true. She told him, "I don't care, I don't care, I don't care." She told him prior to him walking out of her office that if you walk out the door, I know what's up. And that man, whether he thought she was serious or not, walked out the door calling her bluff, and she said bet. And yeah, so then we get Drew on the stand, we get Jordan on the stand. Drew did in fact say, recant basically what happened with Fitzpatrick, and that Willow was home or whatever. So then Jordan gets on the stand. Isaiah gets on the stand, who actually kind of did a little bit too much, had a little bit of dip on his chip. He didn't keep his 100% cool. He was very smug and arrogant when asked about the comment that he made to Curtis, and he kind of showed his temper. Actually, if we just look at who behaved more sympathetically, which I don't, Curtis did that mess and he needs to be punished. regardless of what I feel about Isaiah intentionally trying to push Curtis out as the father of his child. Curtis did it. However, comma, if we look at the facts of the incident aside, if we look at who behaved more calm and sympathetically on the stand, I would actually reason that Curtis did. And I hope, well, I don't really care. Um, I wonder if, Isaiah's demeanor is going to come back to bite him. But anyway, so then we have Willow and Nina, and Willow comes home and she is, letting Nina have it about telling Jack about her business and how she raised her kids. And she was like, I ain't tell him nothing about how you raise your kids. I just think it's reckless for you to attempt to try and make them dig into the shooting again, the shooting that you committed. And she was like, somebody did something, Michael did something, what, to make it look like she was guilty or something. She said when she was on trial. Girl, did you forget that you actually did shoot Drew? Like, girl, are you crazy? Well, yeah, she is crazy, but did you actually forget that you actually did shoot Drew? And so Nina's like, what did you do? And apparently she has served Jacinda with a restraining order, keep requesting that she stay away from Wiley and Amelia. Girl. Anyway, so then what had happened was Ezra meets Jacinda at the outside of Bobby's, and he brought her some party favors, if you follow me. And he's like, what's going on? And she tells him about the restraining order. And he was like, let me be there for you. And she was like, no, don't worry. He was like, well, call me if you need anything or whatever. And so she goes to take Nina her dry cleaning. And when she goes over there, Willow is there, of course. And so her and Willow have a little bit back and forth, and then Willow leaves the room. And then Nina was like, oh, I need you to take something back to work for me. I'm going to go get it. So when she goes to go get it, she takes out the party favors and puts it in Willow's drink. Jacinda is playing dirty because she said, you keep playing with me, I'ma know something. I'm just shooketh because this is just good drama for me. But anyway, then we have Jack and Serena. They start talking because, as we saw, she kind of fell in his lap, but then she goes on to move on to Michael, and she sits in his chase. And then when he gets out the pool, he's like, you're sitting in my seat. And then they start talking, and she starts talking to him about getting the stock from Maxie. And he was like, yeah, Maxie did a favor for me a while ago, and so I'm just returning the favor back to him. And so she's starting to do what her mother asked her to do. Meanwhile, Laura and Lucy are meeting at Bobby's, and Lucy is trying to throw a party for Serena. She wants, Kevin to come, to the party, but Laura says Kevin's not coming home. His job is getting extended through the fall semester, and she's going to go see Kevin soon, and she'll probably bring Ace back home since Sidwell is gone. And so, Lucy is kind of upset because she really wanted, Kevin to be there. And then they start talking about long distance marriages and whatever. But, they're probably about to write Kevin out, of course. And then we have Dante and Sunny, and they are at his house, and they're talking about baseball, and then they talk about the fact that Jason is no longer um um working for Sonny, and about the possibility of Sonny getting out the business. And Dante saying that he would like that because he would like to be able to have, a closer relationship with Sonny without having to worry about incrimination and all of that. And then Jason talks to Tracy about, being a better father, and their conversation was very cute. But today was very funny. I'm actually looking forward to tomorrow. Let me know what y'all think of the trial down in the comments. And I'll see y'all tomorrow to wrap this week up. Bye. Hey guys, let's talk General Hospital for today, August 7th, 2026. So we started this episode at the hospital with Lucas and Liz. Lucas is just now arriving to the hospital, and Liz knows that he just came from the trial. And she's asking him how it went, him testifying, and he was like, oh, I just had to testify to Isaiah's injuries, so it was relatively easy for me, not for everyone else. And he starts talking about how Fitzpatrick kind of got, his testimony was hard or whatever, but he's a cop, he can handle it, it's all right. And so they talked about that. And um then we had Anna and Joe. They were at the pool, at the Metro Court pool, and they were talking about his testimony, because Anna heard too that they, kind of went in on him a little bit about, him arresting Curtis or whatever. And so, he's like, and you don't know anything about me, so you want to kind of see who I am. And then, she started asking him, because he was partnered with Cassius, she starts asking him about that. And, Anna, whew, okay. Yeah, Anna is still, a little kooky, y'all. So, she's going to be on this Cassius thing for a minute, because as we know, Peter August is in her mind telling her that she needs to handle Britt. But anyway, then we see Stella. She's at Portia's house, as we knew. Stella is at the house watching the baby while Portia's at court, and she's talking to him. And Portia and Stella has a whole lot of wishful thinking, and Stella does something that really irritates me. She always goes to Portia, and I understand Portia is the reasonable one, but at some point you need to go to your nephew and talk to him about keeping the peace, because your nephew has no interest in keeping the peace. And it's not even that he wants to cause disturbance with Portia. He likes fighting with Isaiah. He hates the fact that Isaiah is in Portia's life. And so he hates the fact that um Isaiah is in Portia's life, and that is why he is intent on keeping things going with Isaiah. But we didn't get there yet. Put a pin in it. So then we have Isaiah, Portia, and Molly, and they asked Molly what she thought about their chances as far as the trial goes, because the jury is out now and they're waiting for the jury to come back. And Molly is like, oh, it could go either way. There were things that worked for us, there were things that didn't. So we really don't know. It's not really a slam dunk kind of thing. So yeah. So then they go in the hall. Curtis and Jordan are in the hall, and Marshall comes up, and they start talking, and then Isaiah and Portia come out, and when they come out, Curtis calls Portia a name, and she's like, "Can we are coming over to see our son?" And I'm like, "Boy, don't nobody forget that you the daddy." Um, so he was like, "Is that okay?" And then she was like, "Of course you can see your son, you stupid bastard." That's what she wanted to say. That's what I wanted her to say. But she said, "Of course you can see your son." And then he looks at Isaiah and he was like, "And we would like some privacy." And then Isaiah was like, "Well, I got to go to the hospital anyway." And so he leaves and Portia leaves. And then he's like, "Jordan, come on, let's go." Now, if we all recall, they have a no significant others rule when they have to be in the same vicinity for their child. Curtis thinks I don't know who he thinks he is, that he can supersede that rule, is extenuating circumstances. There are no extenuating circumstances for that woman to be in her house. I'm sorry, no. But Jordan does do the right thing for once, and she bows out, and she goes to the Metro Court to, go to the pool or whatever. And she runs into Molly, who also went to the Metro Court to go to the pool. And then they start talking, and then Molly sabotage the case because she says, "Thank you, you took it kind of easy on me." And she was like, "Yeah, I didn't go that hard because I still wanted to be able to look at you when the case was over." Really, Molly? Really? Wow, DA. But whatever. So then we have Drew and Ava, and they might be linking up to take down Sunny, which is crazy because Sunny really didn't do anything to Ava. Just because he summoned her and asked her questions about Ethan doesn't mean that you should try and take him down. Like, Ava will just be doing some. Ava will be having life perfectly fine. Her and Sunny will be getting along, co-parenting well, and then Ava will do something to, like, destroy all of the peace that they have. She did the same thing when she um a few years ago, when Nina and Sunny broke up. They were getting along, and then she turned on him because I guess because he won't trying to pick up what she was putting down because she was trying to seduce. That was crazy. Can y'all believe that? That was crazy. Like, she was really liking Sunny. That was crazy. So anyway, Joss is at the Metro Court as well, and she's meeting with Phoebe's father, Hudson, but he's there on behalf of her father's company, and her father has left Jocelyn as the CEO of his company. Why did he do that? Joss is uninterested. She has a job, and she put Hudson on task to find someone that can do the CEO job for her because she's not interested. Then we have Jacinda and Michael, and we know what Jacinda did yesterday. So she comes and she's like, "Willow might mess up soon." And he's like, "What's going on?" And she was like, "You don't need to worry about it." He was like, "No, I need to worry about it." And he does need to worry about it because I'm always rooting for Jacinda, but this last move is horrible because Willow is with her children, and her children can be affected by this. We saw today that Wiley almost drank the drink that was poisoned, and then she's driving with those kids. She doesn't think that she is under the influence. She doesn't know that. She was just drinking coffee. And I am not a Willow apologist, but this is just too much. And then, um, then we have Isaiah. He goes to the hospital and he's talking with Liz and Lucas about his testimony, and he's like, if Curtis gets off, he is still going to make Curtis pay. And then Curtis is at the house and he talks to the baby, he talks to Portia, he apologizes to Portia, but then he tells Stella that if he gets acquitted, then he is going to make sure that Isaiah isn't in his son's life, and he's going to keep it going. So the two of them are keeping it going. Neither one of them are innocent. They're both wanting to keep it going, and I have nothing for either one of them because neither one of you are thinking about Portia or the baby. But yeah, that was General Hospital for today, and I will see you guys next week. Have a great and safe week.